And we call it blending and segmenting. This is the two ways around that it can happen. So blending is when you're reading a word and you've got those three sounds and you can blend them together. At, cat, blended. Segmenting is the other way around, and that's when you're trying to spell a word and you have to segment it up into the different sounds. So I'm trying to spell the word cat. I can hear it's got three sounds, k, at. So now I can write down those three sounds and spell that word. So this is something that you work on a lot in the early stages, as you could imagine, but you actually will probably find that you work on it even up into the higher levels. So even a lot of my high school or adult students who've come who are reading at quite a high level, when we bring it back down to this level, this is what they're struggling with a lot of the time. So you'll have to keep doing work on it there as well. Okay, so first, to start with, what do you do to blend and segment when you're first initially teaching a set of words? So I'm going to keep with these CVC words, the word cat, and I would imagine that I'm teaching these words to a student. They're just learning how to blend these sounds together. They've learnt the sounds that's in this word, but now they need to learn to blend them together. And the key is make a physical movement for each sound. So for the little ones, sometimes we can do tapping. So let's start with reading. Okay, so we're going to start with blending. I'm reading this word and I'm going to tap each sound. So I'm going to go k, at, cat. You can do it however you want. This is the simplest, easiest, just tap like that. Some people get creative and run motor cars over it, or throw Play-Doh at each piece or something like that. But I just find this the simplest way is tap, 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 cat for the little ones. For the older ones, what I actually find simplest is to get them used to using their fingers for each sound. So if we were doing this word, I would get them to show one finger for each sound. K, at, cat. The reason that this is a really great tool is because as you get used to doing that, and then you are reading along in a text and you come across a word that you're stuck on, I can just say use your fingers, and if they're used to this routine, they'll just do this, and it's something that is easy to go to and you always have there as a tool to use. So that's for blending, and the same for segmenting, but you just sort of use it the other way around. So this time I'm saying spell the word cat, and can you tap out the sounds? So before we spell the word cat, let's tap out the sounds. Cat, k, at. Notice I said the word directly before finding the sounds, and this is something that can be a temptation, is to say cat and then do all this explaining that I'm explaining, then try and find the sounds. Makes it harder. Okay, so you've got to say the word and then the sounds. So cat, k, at. Again, I'm not stopping to talk in between. Imagine I'm not, so that I don't break the flow. Then I can write down the sounds. Okay. So that was for the younger ones. I'll do the tapping. And for older ones, anyone who's able to manage their fingers, it's just the little ones can't always manage their fingers like this. But for older ones, as soon as they can manage this on their fingers, I get them doing the same. For the segmenting. So I'd say cat, spell it on your fingers, and that means you have to show one finger for each sound. Cat, k, at. Okay, so that is how I would teach a word set using blending and segmenting. Now, I've shown on the CVC words, but actually this is something that you probably will use up into the high levels as well, especially with blending. So when we get later onto consonant blends, you'll see that this is something you have to use a lot there. It's also really good to use for vowel teams, because one of the problems with vowel teams is if you see a long word that you don't know, like the word brown, it looks like there are a lot of letters in that, but actually you need to notice that this is just one sound. So when we are spelling the word brown, we go b, ow, n. There's just one sound there. And that helps to make it less confusing because, oh, ow, I know how to spell the ow sound. And then the letters make sense and helps to get them in the right order and everything like that. Okay, so you're going to use this for vowel teams, you're going to use it for blending, you're probably going to use it for just about every set of words that you introduce. When I first introduce a set of words, I insist that the kids do this. A lot of dyslexia teachers are actually really hardcore about this and make kids do it every single time. Some kids hate doing this if they're the speedy ones and they're the racers and they just want to get through it. It's a bit of a chore making them slow down and do this, so I kind of let that go a little bit for them sometimes. But yeah, like I said, most people are even more hardcore than me and make sure that they do it for every single word when they're first learning.